was quite obvious to everyone that Russia would not sabotage its own pipelines. So in that case, who was it? It's quite a complicated operation, so it would require a body or a country with the relevant expertise. It would also require a country with the motive, and all eyes started to look towards the USA, and for good reason. Let's have a look at the following video clip from the 7th of February 2022.
Let me answer this first question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will. I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
It seems that President Biden let the cat out of the bag at this press conference. As we will learn later, planning for this operation was well underway at the time of this press conference. Then shortly after this attack had taken place, Anthony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, made the following statement. It's a tremendous opportunity to once and for all remove the dependence on Russian energy and thus to take away from Vladimir Putin the weaponization of energy as a means of advancing his imperial designs. That's very significant, and that offers tremendous strategic opportunity for the years to come. But meanwhile, we're determined to do everything we possibly can to make sure the consequences of all of this are not borne by the citizens in our countries or, for that matter, around the world. There was no mention of finding out who did it or who was responsible for it, which would really be the normal sort of course of action for the USA to take. After all, somebody had apparently committed a terrorist attack on one of their closest allies. Then almost as fast as it had happened, it disappeared from mainstream media until February 2023, when Seymour Hersh, a very respected, probably the world's most respected investigative journalist, broke a story on his Substack. I'll leave a link to the article in the description of the video in case you want to read the whole article. I'm not going to go through the full article, but I am going to give a summary of the events and how they happened, before then later going on to explaining how I think this will affect China, and also give you my sort of conclusions and thoughts on the incident. Okay, so even before Russia had sent troops into Ukraine, planning was well underway to blow up the Nord Stream pipelines. A small group of US senior politicians, including Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Victoria Nuland and President Joe Biden himself, plotted along with the CIA on how best to conduct this operation. After some time, it was agreed that under the cover of a NATO training operation in the Baltic Sea, Navy divers, along with the help from Norway, would dive down to the pipelines and plant some explosives, which could later be remotely detonated at the time of President Joe Biden's choosing. So in June of 2022, during those training exercises, divers went down and attached explosives to those pipelines. The location had been chosen by the Norwegians in fairly shallow water, and the NATO exercise was the perfect cover. Then on the 26th of September 2022, a routine Norwegian surveillance flight dropped a buoy near the site, and this then detonated the explosives, which caused severe damage to 3 out of the 4 pipelines. I find it astonishing that up to now, none of the Western mainstream media have covered Sy Hersh's story, even though he's such a respected journalist and that he used to report in papers like the New York Times, etc, etc. However, the story has been very active on alternative and social media. It's also quite telling that so far no senior US politician has commented on the story, not even the CIA director William Burns, whose organisation were the organisation that was responsible for carrying out the mission. Now let me move on to how I think this incident will affect China.